I must go to the Grand Canyon before I die. I'm slowly wearing down in my comfortable life, but actually nothing even started. Fred wrote this note at 4 a.m. He was never interested in all the bareness of the Grand Canyon, but something drawn him to it 20 years later on an early morning. He remembered hearing a relative talk about how majestic the trip was and thought to himself that such places were only for old people. In his imagination, the Grand Canyon was filled with the retired wearing bright-colored fleece and heavy sneakers, necks heavy with cameras. It definitely was not a place for hot-blooded teens who listened to heavy metal with wall full of records. But now, he sat in such a room, wall full of records, poking his finger inside the hole of his leather chair. The flowers in his room have reached the dying age once more. They were meant for some kind of unfulfilled art project, but now it all seems pathetic. Shouldn't he feel all lively and horny because of his new girlfriend? Shouldn't he be thinking about her naked body instead of the naked night? The naked night, just like a normal day without clothes. When the sun rises, the working class, the old men exercising in the park, students in line buying breakfast, call girls getting on taxis to go home. They're like layers of clothing on the world, animated in colorful clothes, overstimulating people and losing balance. Too much excitement and too little feelings. Grand Canyon. Why the Grand Canyon? Why not Niagara Falls? He imagined himself packing up and taking the first flight out, but it wasn't so romantic when he got on the plane. The turbulence scared the living shit out of him, and the damn kid keeps kicking the back of his seat. Shouldn't there be some blonde beauty sitting next to him, and not this middle-aged woman from Taiwan? Maybe the middle-aged woman wasn't so bad after all. He's always liked older women, and maybe she was on her way to the Grand Canyon alone. He imagined himself standing on the cliff, feeling all touched by the majestic view. He thought about finally checking off his bucket list, and yet he's alone, and have totally forgotten about his girlfriend. That dumb bitch is probably having meaningless afternoon tea with her girlfriends in Taipei. Suddenly, he became the old man in the fleece and sneakers, even though he was actually wearing his grass-green military jacket and handmade platform shoes. Maybe it's just a mentality. He peered down the canyon, suddenly gaining an impulse to just jump. That would be romantic. The thought quickly passed. He lifted his head and stared at the other side of the cliff. He seemed to have seen a dark-haired middle-aged lady, wearing a hot pink scarf, just like his neighbor on the plane.